Okay, thank you all so much for showing up. This has really been uh, kind of a heavy issue. The pyramid of influence, going from the ideas of identity, values, beliefs, thoughts, emotions, behaviors. As we go along, we can expand more on how to use this in everyday life. It's been pretty much how to apply it to yourself, which that's the most important. Since we're partway through, anyone who has joined us before or has seen the uploads, if you have any questions, would like any clarity, now would be a great time to recap and go over. Um, Gray Fox, love that name. I know you've been here for a lot. Alex, one of our loyal subscribers here. Um, any thoughts, comments, concerns, questions, anything at all that you'd like to share with us at this point?
If I could just quickly, I didn't get a chance to use it with one of my clients this week, but I was having a look at it and I was struck about the similarities with the pyramid and Maslow's hierarchy of needs as well. There's a couple of areas of
Hmm.
intellect with.
Yeah, very much so. I said that earlier that I was pretty confident I was not the originator of this. But what happened is Joe shared some information with me, and I definitely know now I am not the originator of it. I've just been doing it for so long. But it's such a valuable tool when you think about how to influence people. But most importantly, most importantly, this is a tool to help you influence yourself. And so everything that I'm going to talk about here, I want you to consider how you would use this to improve your own life and to make changes within your own mind. Um, so any other questions, observations? Anyone here? You're welcome to put it in the chat. Also, if you're muted, you're welcome to raise your hand. You do that by going down to the little react button and pressing on it, and there's a little hand that will go up. I'll hear a pop, and everyone knows that you have a question, so we can go from there. All right.
Great. Well, thank you, David. I guess we'll just turn it over to you. I'm going to kindly mute everyone. So, David, you might have to unmute yourself.
Sure.
And when we do this, today's topic is going to be focused on the middle of the triangle, beliefs. And without any further ado, take it away, Dave.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about the area of belief. That's going to be the middle of the pyramid. So it's right at the center of the hierarchy. And I want to cover this as thoroughly as I can in the hour that I have. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'll be able to cover it all. If I can't cover it as much as I want to, we could do a little bit further. So please take notes and observe here. So best way to understand, and also let me give you the link. I'm going to put the link here. This is to view the document as it is so far. I'm linking it in. I've updated the document on the pyramid of influence. And so we are covering beliefs. So let's talk about beliefs. What is a belief? What's the best way to understand a belief? A belief isn't a fact. It's something we tend to treat as true, or at least true enough. A belief is a simplification of our world and how we understand it. How you're going to hear a belief in conversation and how you say a belief in yourself is through two different ways. One is called complex equivalency, and the other is called cause and effect. So let's go over the first. Complex equivalency is essentially A equals B. And to understand that, you will hear people say to themselves, I am an idiot. They're saying I equal an idiot. So they're saying they are an idiot. That is a belief. It is not a truth. It's just something that simplifies their world. They will say, Harley Davidson is the best motorcycle. That's not a truth. That's a very strong belief. They will say, people of this nationality are very stingy with their money. Okay, that true is just a belief. It's not a fact. And beliefs are, again, there to simplify our thinking, because if we had to resort to not using beliefs, we'd have to question everything. So that is, over here, complex equivalency. The other form of belief is called a cause and effect. Cause and effect. So A causes B. So bear with me. Let me find out where I'm at here on my notes. Okay. So A causes B. If I speak up, people will judge me. So my speaking up causes people to judge me. My path causes my failure. So all of their failures present directly linked because of their past. Making mistakes causes rejection. Okay, none of these things are true, but for people, they live as though they are true. And so let's just go through a little exercise. Think of any of the beliefs that you might have or you might have heard other people have and demonstrate. And you can speak them, unmute yourself and say them, or you can enter them in the chat. Let's begin now. So use your brain, use your memory, state a belief. Here's one. Taking risks is dangerous. That's not a truth. That is a belief. Here's another one. My faith is the true faith. That's fun. It's amazing how many people of various religious beliefs will tell you how fortunate they are to be that person that's born in the one true religion. Oh, I'm not good enough. Yeah, that's definitely a belief. Okay, and now people get rich by being greedy. Okay, so that's a cause and effect belief. By being greedy causes you to get rich, causes people to get rich. Okay, so here's Alex has some good ones. I can't stop smoking. It's impossible. So smoking is impossible. That is a complex equivalency. I can't blow my trumpet because I'll get judged. So that is a cause and effect. If I toot my own horn, I get judged. And I have to get married because I can't be a full man otherwise. Okay, yeah, that's definitely one we have to worthy of questioning. Okay.
I can add something
Now,
to that one.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, just the marriage thing. If you're marrying the right person, it is great. That's utopia. If you're marrying the wrong person, a life preserver isn't going to help you.
Yeah. I'm reminded Star who talks to his counselor and says, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Every stripper I married becomes really bad. So they end up taking all my money. I can't find the right stripper to marry. And I'm going, well, let's examine that in a little more detail. Okay. Okay. So now that we're talking about beliefs, what you want to do is you want to find and isolate the beliefs that are not necessary, that do not work, that do not function. And you do that, again, let's assume we're doing it conversationally. You do that through just simple questioning. You say, is that true or do you believe it to be true? Okay. And you say, well, what if that were not true? How would things be different if the exact opposite of that were true? So, and it's always good to preface these questions questions, because once you start questioning people's beliefs, they get really, really defensive. So you can preface it by just saying, I just want to look at the beliefs. I'm not judging you. I just want you to look at it critically and with some perspective. So isolate the beliefs so that once you have it, like smoking is impossible, or I can't stop smoking. Now, then I'm going to introduce you to 3 ways you can deal with a belief and change it. The very first is conversational, and it's through cognitive behavioral therapy type question. And you just say, okay, well, let's pause and analyze these beliefs. And if you're coaching someone over long term, you tell them to start journaling and write down your beliefs, and you ask a very serious set of questions. You say, if you write down this belief like I am worthless, then you ask yourself, is that true? Is it true? What is the evidence that supports that belief? And then again, if they're journaling, they have to analyze the evidence. You ask them, is it always true, or can you find exceptions? And again, they have to think about it with objectivity and analyze it too. The other question is, what would it be like if you knew the opposite of that were true? How would your life be different if the opposite of that were true? And since you're in a conversation about beliefs, you've pointed out beliefs aren't facts. So just consider for a moment, if you were to step back, and this is a little NLP here, if you were to step back and step into that better belief, how would your life be different? And what this does is it creates cognitive dissonance. It puts them in a moment of confusion where 2 things are true that don't equal each other. And the benefit of doing this is once they start looking at their beliefs and their conclusions about themselves, their lives, and their abilities, they begin to realize how much the beliefs themselves have held them back. Okay, so if someone would say, if I try, I'm just going to fail. So let's start with that question. Is that true? Have you tried yet? No, but that's what I believe. Okay. Then is it always true? Every time, did you fail the first time that you tried to walk? Yes. Okay. Did you give up? So you're walking right now. Okay. Then you continue to ask those series of questions. So let's pause for a moment. Mark posted one. I need to achieve this before I achieve success or something else. That's a good one. Anyone else have questions or comments? Raise a hand or unmute yourself. All right. Yes.
David, I hope everyone realizes this right here is what you're saying, a real world version of what NLP would call the meta model. This is really getting to the source, and this is concise. So I hope people are paying attention.
Yeah, I do too. But let's take a moment here. What I'm gonna ask you guys, each of you who are listening, whether you're here live or listening on the recording, is take a moment to pause and really examine what your beliefs are. Ask yourself, what are the things that have been challenging for you? What are the things you have frustrated you, and what are the reasons you think those frustrations, those things have frustrated you? You're going to start nailing down your beliefs, and the question you want to ask yourself is, are those beliefs useful? And if they're not, you have a starting point. this whole model of the pyramid of influence is about helping people change in a way that is positive and really deep at the very deepest level. And even if you're to deal with them just at the level of emotions and behaviors, you're going to make a dramatic change. But if they're paying you a lot of money for this, and if you've got the time to work with them, you might as well work on every one of these levels. Okay, so let's go to the NLP approach of a belief. The way you help someone make a change using neurolinguistic programming, and there are lots of different ways, but the one way is through submodalities. Okay, so anyone need to know what a submodality is? I'm going to have to explain it anyway because there are people who are listening who don't know what a submodality is. Okay, a submodality, a modality is one of our senses. We have the modality of vision, hearing, taste, touch, smell. We have 5 modalities. A submodality is a version of one of those, a portion of one of those senses. So for example, vision, which we're just going to stick to vision. Well, we can stick to hearing as well. Vision contains color, it contains distance, it contains size, it contains textures. There can be a tilt to it, but there's a lot of submodalities of vision. Hearing is also a very useful modality you can change, because if someone says, I have this constant nagging voice in my head. Okay, so they have a constant nagging voice in their head that says, I'm not good enough. So you know what the belief is, I'm not good enough. They're telling you it's a voice, so they're telling you the modality. And then you get to ask, okay, well, what does the voice sound like? And it may be, of course, they haven't often thought about it, but it's often an authority figure or someone with great more strength than them to meeting. It could be a parent figure or something like that. And so described the submodalities of this voice, you can start playing with it. Okay, the voice says, I'm not good enough. Okay, well, just imagine it for a moment if it said, like Mickey Mouse, I'm not good enough. Is that how you would, what if you heard it like that? Would you take it very seriously? No, no. Well, just listen to it for a moment in your mind saying, no, no. And it feels sort of weird, doesn't it? Let's listen to it one more time. This time, let's imagine it's a sexy woman saying, I'm not good enough. Does that have a different feeling to it? Okay. What would happen? Okay, so you've already just changed the submodality of that voice. You can do other things. You can say, what if it were in that voice and like 40 feet away so you could barely hear it? Oh, no, good enough. And you can do other things. What if it had carnival music behind it? How would that change it? So everything, and then all of a sudden you'll find, I've noticed people here, they're laughing and smiling, and that's exactly the response you would get. And again, what you're doing here is you're shaking up that belief by changing the submodalities. And you're doing it just with the voice. Okay. I'm going to pause for a moment, invite questions, comments, and observations. Anybody before I continue? All right. If someone has a question, raise your hand by the little button in the react button, and we'll go from there. Now let's talk about using the modality of vision. When someone has a belief that says, now let's see, let's go through some of these beliefs.
I just can't see myself succeeding. I hear that a lot.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I can't see myself succeeding. Okay, I want you to play with me. Be one of your clients who have told you that. go. Okay.
It
So,
just looks dark, Dave.
okay, I get it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of that belief. I can't see myself succeeding. And I want you to make a picture of that belief. Okay.
Okay.
How do you see it?
It's very dark. It's
Is
it
it
just
close up
oh,
or is
it's
it
close
far
up.
away?
It reiterates that there is no hope.
Okay. So it's very dark. Any color to it at all?
Oh, darkness, black,
Okay.
pretty much
Okay.
blacked out, maybe tones of brown if there is a lightness to it.
Okay. Okay. So heads up, we're going to play with the submodalities of this just as you described it.
Okay.
So I want you, it's close up and it's dark, right?
Hmm.
Okay. I want you to imagine what it would be if you just pushed it out, say 15 feet. Okay. That sort of changes it. Agreed?
Yeah. Hypnosis for clients, it gives room to breathe.
Okay,
Very
good.
much so.
So let's just continue with that and just do it in your mind and let me know you've done that. We'll go from there. So I want you to push it out now 30 feet. You
Okay.
got it?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. I want you to push it out on 30 feet and imagine yourself on a beach in a sunlit day and it's out there 30 feet. You got it? Okay. Now we're going to do some other things here. And I want you to notice what happens. It's in front of you 30 feet. It's a sunlit day. I want you to imagine that we're just going to, like you're standing in the center of a turntable. We're going to take that thing right in front of you and just slowly begin to move it just a little bit from in front of you, a little more to the side, and then go a little further and further. And I want you to move it just right at the edge of the field of your vision. You got it?
Yeah.
Keep moving it all the way back until it's right behind
Okay.
you. Okay. So just so you know, I'm going to install a pole from the back of your head to that thing 30 feet away. You got it?
Yes.
Now I want you to notice that if you turn around, it's still 30 feet behind you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now, what was that belief?
Oh, it's taken the charge out of it, but yeah, it was something that things were dark, but
Okay.
yeah, it's made a huge impact already.
Okay. Okay. So we've taken away that belief with just this little exercise. So what's a better belief? What would function more? You understand the quality of beliefs and how.
Oh, what I would say is that through everything life has to offer, there is possibility for greatness.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
Okay. That's awesome. If you were to make an image of that, how would you sort of first see it?
Um, in my realm, I would see myself successful, and I would also see, behind me, uh, a group of clients who have been
Mhm.
successful.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is the way you explained it to me, it was over here.
Hmm.
What I want you to do is I want you to just put it out in front of you a little bit like this.
Okay.
Okay. And shine a nice, beautiful spotlight on it. And tell me what happens when you bring it closer. How does it feel?
Very empowering.
Okay. So let's sort of epoxy it right there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, is it when you think about now the belief of possibility as opposed to you can't accomplish anything, which feels more real, more true?
Oh, definitely the second one, the uplifting
Yeah.
ability to do
Okay.
whatever.
Okay. Good. Good demonstration. That's just one way of doing it too.
And for everyone watching, this was huge. This was very efficient. This will be another topic, I assume. But David also expertly demonstrated spatial anchoring in that. So just a note for all of you people following.
Yeah, and for those of you who want to know submodality changes with vision, go to ChatGPT and say neurolinguistic programming, wish patterns, and it will using visual submodalities, and it will give you a whole list of ways to do this. The important thing is that not just that you read it and not just that you learn it. The important thing is that you do it. And most importantly, do it on yourself, do it with people you care about, and do it with as many people so you get a really internalized strength about this, and do it as often as you can. And again, this is something you can do when you're working with somebody in an office, if you're doing coaching or hypnosis. And you can do it either in hypnosis or you can do it conversationally. If you're doing it in hypnosis, there's an added benefit. There are fewer external distractions, but I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. Okay, anyone have any questions here? Also nice when you do it in hypnosis, then they really feel like they're paying for the hypnosis and getting good results. Okay. All right.
I will be hugely disappointed if Alex doesn't have something to interject.
I happen to agree, Alex.
Flyers, my God. But also, when you recognize that someone is at the belief level, thank you, Alex. I'll just finish up. I was meandering just to give you time. But you can obviously tell when someone's at a belief stage and where you can go if you're the hypnotist. You know, they'll say things, I believe that it's true that, and that might give you the insight to know which area to attack.
Mhm.
Alex, please share with
Yeah.
us.
Oh, I think you might be muted. I mean, you're not muted on Zoom, but your headset might be muted. I can't hear you.
If that doesn't go well, you know, if we do have the technical difficulty, I know one of our frequent guests, Gray Fox, I love that name. If you have anything to share, because I know you have an extensive background of thoughts and all, please join in. It really will make the replay better. And Alex, you know, if your headset, either way, we want to hear from you too.
I think
Yeah,
Alex
Graham.
needs to find a teenager to help him with his technology. That's what I do. No, it's actually a very interesting pattern, the visualization for, as you said, like, you know, pulling the whole behind you. And then with NLP, there's the technique of future pacing where you can then place the new one in front of you. And it is a very multimodal way of doing it. You know, as you said, you can do it in a CBT session, you can do it in a hypnosis session. And if you're that way inclined, even like just do it in normal everyday conversation, you know, just by using a few Ericksonian things, you know, using a few expressions like, you know, you can put that behind you, so to speak, you know, and look forward and all that sort of thing. So there's quite a fair bit to be had from it, and I feel like
Yeah. You said something, and I'm glad you said it because it means I left something out that I should have added, which is future pacing. And future pacing is great. Always have them imagine at least one time, two times, three times in the future when this response is the response they have, this positive response. Okay, if you want to write this down, I would encourage you to write it down. It's linguistically a little long and sinewy, but it goes like this. What would it be like at that time in the future, right now, when you're in that situation where you used to be triggered and you feel that incredible feeling. And then you ask this question and you use this tonality. That feels really good, doesn't it? And you're not saying, doesn't it? You're saying, doesn't it? Like it's solid. And what that will do, that they will go into the future automatically, experience it, and then acknowledge how good it feels. So that's the language. Okay, Alex, we can hear you now.
Good, good. I hope that this is coming through clearly.
Yes.
You just pointed out when you used the tag at the end there, when you said that feels really good, doesn't it? And you lower the voice, because if you raise the voice at the end, it's a question, but if you lower it, it becomes an imperative, a command. So I've been using that sneakily with people. It'd be something along the lines of, "I wonder if you can give me the time."
Absolutely. I have been, I find myself saying this every time someone has a good experience, which is, that feels good, doesn't it? Because I get them to acknowledge that thing that feels good. And for at least that moment, they're associating with me. So that's excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex. Is there
My
anything
pleasure.
else?
Well, I was going to say this afternoon, there was a young chap that I was just talking to, and he was in the most antisocial mood I've ever seen. And he said, "I'm in a vile, vile mood and everything." But I actually used the tone of command when I said, "I hope things will work out for you." And it sort of rocked him to the core, because he never experienced that much certainty in what someone else was saying to him, and then to look him squarely in the eye and then tell him, "I hope things will work out for you." That's the bit that I emphasized. Things will work out for you. So that was, in a way, a form of future pacing. And he actually shook my hand after that. He complete change of personality after that.
I would think also you were showing recognition of his feelings and a sense of compassion toward him, which he wasn't ready for. So he had to respond in some way. So very good move. Very good move. All right. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much for that. That ties in so much, and it brings up because the whole reason David chose this subject, it's one, how to work on the self, and we can go much further. We can use this for influence and persuasion, even change work. But what you just said, it reminds me, the upward inflection. I had this conversation last night at dinner with a friend, uh, trying for weight loss, and I'm going to be doing the same thing. But when you're hungry, instead of acknowledging I'm hungry, I'm going to eat, you can ask yourself this: change the inflection, change the belief by saying I'm hungry. And what I've done in the past, and what I always advise my clients to do, is if you're hungry, say, I'm hungry. If you really are, if the answer is yes, drink a pint glass of water, wait 5 minutes, because mostly you're dehydrated. But if you're still hungry, then eat something, but eat something healthy. So that's how I use that in there. And I'm sure David will have more examples to give now.
I like that. I'm hungry. No, that's very good. That's very good. Okay, so there's so much you can do with neurolinguistic programming and messing with the submodalities. So that's a point of research I want to encourage you to go into. The last thing that I want to introduce is what I call meta yes and meta no. And I am confident this is not my idea, but again, I don't know its origin. But it's really simple. The first thing you have to do is distinguish what is the belief that doesn't work for them and what is the belief that they want. So you have to determine these two different beliefs. So it goes like this. First, let's say let's start off with I'm not good enough. So they're beating themselves up constantly. I'm not good enough. And that's the negative belief. Their positive, their better belief, which they don't really believe, it sounds like bullshit to them, but it is, I am whole and complete. So I'm not good enough as one hand, and I'm whole and complete as the other. So the meta yes meta program is, once you've established those two polarities, you set up two different anchors. And I'm going to use my arm here. So this is the no anchor. You do a downward motion. Here, let me do this. You do a downward motion on the arm. No, no, no. And what you want them to do is think of something they would absolutely say no to. Like, for example, they had a vomit and they will never go back to that meal again. If they put it in front of them, they're definitely going to say no. That's a good option. Or the one I would always use, imagine someone, a child you care about is running into a busy street. You would say no, and you would say it with such strength that you would feel it. So that's the quality of no you want to be able to bring up. Once they have it in their mind, you say, okay, I want you to bring up that feeling and I want you to say no. And as they say no, you bring your finger down, no. And you do this a lot. You do this at least 10, 15, 20 times. Associate the feeling and saying the word with no and the anchor. So it's no, 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 no. You're going to know you've got it set when you just bring your finger down and they say no, and they just do it automatically. That's when it's done. This could take a minute or two. It feels monotonous, but once they train it in, it's really important. So then, once they have the no anchor, you have them think of this belief, I'm not good enough. And you have them think that in their mind as you fire the anchor and they say no. So I say, on the count of 3, I want you to think that word, that phrase, I'm not good enough, and I want you to say no. So 1, 2, 3, no. Again, 1, 2, 3, no. Again, 1, 2, 3, no. Think that belief, 1, 2, 3, no. Again, you do this 10 or 15 times. And then once that's done, you have them ask them, think of that belief and notice it doesn't seem, what does it feel like? It will have all of the belief taken out of it. It's just a phrase now. It doesn't, it falls deeply into that area of no, it's not real. Okay, so you've gotten rid of the negative belief. So we're doing now the different, the change to the positive belief. You ask them, and this is how I phrase it, I want you to think of something that is healthy that you would say no to or say yes to. So it has to be healthy and they have to say yes to it. So it's like, I want to kill my neighbor. No, that's not healthy. You don't do that. You have to say yes to something that's healthy. So it could be when you step out on a beach and you smell the ocean air, you love that. Just something you would absolutely say yes to. Once they have agreed to what that is, you want them to say yes congruently as you fire a different anchor, this from the elbow to the wrist. So again, I want you to say yes and feel that feeling when I fire that anchor. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. And if they're doing it right, they're going to start smiling, and you tell them to make it even stronger, and they'll start smiling even more. They may even be laughing, and it's yes, 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 yes. Okay. Then you test it. You say, okay, notice what you feel. You fire that off, and they're either going to say yes or they're going to start smiling. You've done it. Then you say, let's talk about this new belief that I am whole and complete. I want you to think about that and say yes. So think of that in your mind and say yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. 1, 2, 3, yes. And again, you do it 10, 15, 20 times. And then at the end, you say, okay, which is true? you're not good enough, or you're whole and complete. And the natural response is, I am whole and complete. That is true. You can do this very quickly in a matter of like 5-10 minutes. I have done it conversationally because it's not covert or anything, but I've done it as an NLP process. I have done it in hypnosis, which is always fun. And I've done it for a whole bunch of different things, not just beliefs. I've done it for getting rid of cravings. So craving is a no, no, no. And I'm a non-smoker is a yes, yes, yes. And if you've got extra time to do that, because it doesn't take a lot of time, and the impact is visceral and noticeable and immediate. Okay. Anyone here having questions?
David, if you could clarify, because right there you're talking about the change of beliefs. But what I've noticed in your work is you we'll just use smokers because that was the last one you used.
Mhm.
You take them to that level of identity. So is it beneficial doing trance work, therapeutic work, where you go up on the pyramid above beliefs to their values or to the
Yeah.
identity, and you hit them at a higher level? Because I've noticed the people who have worked with you, the ones who have great results, they have this batshit crazy look in their face and they go, I'm a non-smoker. Why would you think that I want to quit smoking? So if you could expound upon that.
Yeah, I have to admit they do look like newly recruited cult members. They're that happy. Yeah. So first and foremost, you don't have to go all the way up the pyramid. If you can give them a result and they feel really good about it, you can just stay by changing emotions, new emotions linked to better behaviors. And that works, and it works well. What you'll notice, though, is while emotions will affect behavior, they also start to affect beliefs. A little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. So if you have affected the belief there at the very beginning with emotions, the next session you can go up to beliefs and to values. The belief I like to install is, I'm not that person anymore. And it gives them a sense of strength when they think about it. And then that belief is also a sense of identity. So it's even there at the top of the pyramid. And values is, I'm going to talk about that next week. Values is a long conversation. It's a very useful, very positive conversation. If you're coaching someone over the course of more than like 3 or 4 or 5 sessions, it's always a good discussion too. I pretty much just skim over values unless someone really needs it and wants to focus on it. But you will, we'll talk about that in the next session. Stefan, you have a question. You've raised your hand.
Yeah, just have you ever done that online? The meta yes, meta no.
Yes, and this is how you do it online. Since I can't anchor them with my physical body, I have them do it with a gesture. The no gesture is I tell them to bring their fist down and say no, 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 no. And really feel it. That's the important part. You have to associate the emotional feeling with the gesture and the words. And the yes, I have them bring their hand to their chest. Yes. 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 And doing it like that, you can do this to yourself and you will get a good result. So this is something you can actually do for yourself. So that's how I would do it if I'm instructing somebody either over the phone or online. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. I wouldn't have thought about it. This is one of those things that works really well. You can actually do on yourself and get some good results. But I encourage you to really do a deep dive into what the beliefs are that you most want to change. That's the very first step, though. Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Stefan. Oh, yeah, make a list of your beliefs. That's always a great thing. Yes, Graham, Gray Fox.
Yeah, it's a quick question. It's to do with the anchoring. Now, I'm not as well upon NLP as a lot of people. What I understood about anchoring is you can use like a touch or a gesture to empower a more positive state. And reading a bit of work by Tony Robbins, it says like, it gives you a thing like where you do that with your fingers to elicit a more powerful state of mind, sort of thing. So going back to the yes or no with the stroking down the elbow, how would, let me get the thing. Yeah. So the person then goes away, they then start having that negative belief. Where they're going to get the trigger to have that change of state of mind to the yes, if it's done by somebody else?
If you have done this correctly, the change happens deeply and organically, which means you have made a change at how they respond. So they don't have to do anything. They just have this new belief.
So it becomes like a habituated response when they get the initial
inkling
of.
Keep in mind, you're having them do this yes, 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 no, 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 like 20, 30, sometimes 50 times. It's sort of fun to just see how long you could pull someone out to this. They automatically begin to associate those feelings with that gesture. And so you can now start to fire anything with the yes and the no, and it already has this emotional association to it. Okay? All right. And of course, if they say, I got my problem back, then, you go back and do some more stuff, maybe the same thing. But that's not likely to happen with a meta yes, a meta no program, because it shakes up, it moves all the associated feelings to the belief. All right.
Yeah. And one last one, would it be helpful if the client always used the same yes and the same no, if it's that strong and powerful? So every time they have like a negative cognition, they'll still go back to that no,
it's
that
help.
Okay,
are you talking about if you're doing it online?
Or online or whatever? So as you said, like you get the client to think of a really horrible no, in my case, remarrying an ex-wife. Would you use that in different situations with the client to say, right, this is going to be your ultimate drastic no for when you want to change something?
You've already set the anchor, so that anchor of no is already there. It's useful for you because you don't have to remember what the anchor was every time. So just use the same no anchor, the same yes anchor for everybody you work with. So it's going to be useful for you. And if you have to use a no anchor again, then find something you can add to it that's not, having to marry your ex-wife, but something else they would say no to. Okay, so you're simply adding to it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Guys, thank you so much. Again, next week we're going to talk about the whole importance of values, and values are incredibly important. You can do it conversationally with people and in coaching and counseling sessions. But all of this, the most important thing is the change you do to yourself. So I'm going to encourage you and ask you to apply these to yourself. That's where you're going to get the most benefit, and that's where it's going to be easier for you to spread that benefit out to the world and make the world slightly better. That's all I'm asking you to do. All right. Any last questions?
Well, David, I'm glad you brought that up. I'll open this up to anyone in a moment. But as we go up to values, if you can elicit someone's values, it gives you so much power, but it can make you a better person, eliciting your own. And the potential is unlimited. Grace, since you are off mute, if you'd like to talk, please don't let me interrupt.
Yes, a quick one. It's just actually harking back a couple of weeks ago to the session that we'd done talking to the subconscious, and I had a thought afterwards, which I emailed David about, is as well as talking to the subconscious, would it be some way, shape, or form to address the critical factor or a certain hypnotherapists would call it like the gatekeeper between the conscious mind and subconscious
Oh.
mind. So get on that side. So, for example, if you've got someone who, harking back to David's favourite, wants to quit smoking, and you can say to the subconscious mind, right, you are a non-smoker, you do not smoke, and all that sort of thing. But obviously, such change can take a bit of time to work in. So if you're a very visual person and you do lots of visual work, and this, I find this actually can work well with self-hypnosis. Say, right, subconscious mind, thanks very much. And you say, right, now I'm going to speak to the gatekeeper. I want you to block any subconscious desire to smoke and to keep out any ideas getting in to say smoking would be a good idea, sort of thing.
Okay, that's a good way of doing it. Personifying the critical factor is something I had not considered. The critical factor is just a process that they have, and what I would recommend. I personally don't do that, but I think you could always test it out and probably get a good result. But again, you have to.
I came to the conclusion that if you do it in self-hypnosis, because then you can, like, you know, create your own little house where you've got a room for your subconscious, and you can, you know, get a nice picture of the gatekeeper. In my case, it was an old dog of mine. You know, it was a very good guard dog sort of thing. You know.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. I think that'll work great. I have got to wrap us up. I've got a meeting at the top of the hour. Again, next week, we're going to talk about values, how to elicit them, how to determine them in yourself, and how to make changes so you start living up to a standard that you really like and appreciate. And what happens when life gets complicated and you have to choose between two things that are important to you. All right. Thank you so much again, because you're here, you're not somewhere else. So you had to sacrifice to be here. I appreciate you making that sacrifice. Next week, this same time, we will talk, and thank you all very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Same bat time, same bat channel. And this, please email your thoughts. I truly believe this is something that can be turned into a great master class. And if there's interest, we will definitely do so.
Yep.
So thank you. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll be seeing you soon.
My
Indeed.
email
Thanks so much,
address
David.
is
David.
mindcontrolismybusiness@gmail.com. Guys, have a great week.
Thank you.